Your brain is lying to you. Every single day, it's feeding you a story about what you need, what you deserve, and what will make you feel complete. And the most dangerous lie it tells you: that instant gratification is the path to satisfaction. Today, I'm going to show you something that will fundamentally change how you see one of the most common struggles modern men face. This isn't about shame. This isn't about guilt. This is about understanding the machinery of your own mind and why the ancient Stoics knew something about human nature that we've forgotten. By the end of this video, you'll understand the psychological trap that keeps millions of men weak, distracted, and living below their potential. More importantly, you'll know exactly how to break free. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He wasn't just talking about external circumstances. He was talking about the war that happens inside your head every single day. The war between who you are and who you could become. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most overlooked aspects of male psychology and self-mastery. We're talking about the hidden cost of instant gratification, specifically the habit that's silently undermining your confidence, your energy, and your ability to build the life you actually want. This isn't a lecture. This is a mirror, and what you see might change everything. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you felt truly satisfied, not temporarily pleased, not momentarily distracted, but genuinely satisfied with yourself and your progress? If you're struggling to answer that question, you're not alone, and there's a reason why. Your brain operates on what psychologists call the dopamine reward pathway. Every time you seek instant gratification, whether it's scrolling social media, binge-watching Netflix, or engaging in self-pleasure, you're essentially hijacking your brain's natural reward system. Here's what most people don't understand. Dopamine isn't the pleasure chemical, it's the wanting chemical. It's what drives you to seek, to chase, to constantly look for the next hit of satisfaction. The ancient Stoics didn't know about dopamine, but they understood something profound about human nature. They knew that the man who cannot control his impulses cannot control his life. Seneca said it perfectly. Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. But here's the thing. You can't begin something new until you end something old. When you're constantly seeking instant gratification, you're living in what I call the dopamine trap. You're always chasing, never arriving. Always wanting, never satisfied. Always consuming, never creating. Your ancestors didn't have this problem. Not because they were more disciplined, but because their environment was different. 10,000 years ago, if you wanted something, you had to work for it. You had to hunt for food, you had to build shelter, you had to earn the respect of your tribe through action, through contribution, through proving your worth. Your dopamine system evolved to reward effort, struggle, and achievement. It was designed to make you feel good after you accomplish something difficult. But modern society has flipped this on its head. Now you can get a dopamine hit without doing anything meaningful. You can feel pleasure without effort. You can experience a reward without earning it. This is what I call the evolutionary betrayal. Your brain is using ancient software to navigate a modern world, and it's getting confused. When you give yourself easy pleasure, you're essentially telling your brain, "Mission accomplished. We did it. We can relax now." Except you didn't do anything. You didn't build anything. You didn't overcome anything. You didn't grow. But your brain doesn't know the difference. It just knows it got its reward, so it stops pushing you toward real achievement. This is why so many men feel stuck, unmotivated, and disconnected from their purpose. They're giving away their drive for free. The Stoics had a concept called prosoche, which means continuous attention to the present moment and constant self-examination. They understood that every choice you make is either moving you toward strength or toward weakness. There's no neutral ground. Every time you choose instant gratification over delayed gratification, you're casting a vote for the person you don't want to become. Every time you choose the easy path over the meaningful path, you're training yourself to be weak. Epictetus, who spent years as a slave before becoming a philosopher, said, "No one is free who is not master of himself." Think about that for a moment. This man understood captivity better than almost anyone in history. He knew the difference between external bondage and internal bondage. External bondage is when someone else controls your circumstances. Internal bondage is when you can't control yourself. Which form of slavery is worse? The one where someone else owns your body, or the one where your impulses own your mind? The Stoics believed that true freedom comes from self-mastery, not self-punishment, not self-hatred, self-mastery. Here's something fascinating that modern neuroscience has discovered. Every time you resist an impulse, you're literally strengthening your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for decision-making, planning, and self-control. It's like going to the gym, but for your willpower. Every time you feel the urge for instant gratification and choose not to act on it, you're building what researchers call cognitive muscle. You're training your brain to prioritize long-term rewards over short-term pleasure. But here's the key insight. You can't build this muscle if you never challenge it. If you always give in to your impulses, your prefrontal cortex gets weak. Your decision-making gets cloudy. Your ability to delay gratification, which is one of the strongest predictors of success in life, deteriorates. This is why the ancient practice of self-discipline isn't just about moral virtue, it's about cognitive strength. When you practice saying no to your impulses, you're not just avoiding a particular behavior. You're building the mental infrastructure that allows you to say yes to your goals, your values, and your highest potential. Let's talk about something most people never consider: energy economics. You have a finite amount of mental energy each day. Psychologists call this ego depletion. The idea that willpower is like a muscle that gets tired with use. But here's what's interesting. Different activities either give you energy or drain your energy. Activities that align with your values and long-term goals tend to energize you. Activities that contradict your values and sabotage your goals tend to drain you. When you engage in instant gratification, you're not just spending time, you're spending energy. Mental energy, emotional energy, spiritual energy. And here's the cruel irony. The very act that promises to relieve stress often creates more stress. The behavior that promises to provide energy often leaves you feeling depleted. This is because deep down you know you're acting against your own interests. You know you're choosing the lesser version of yourself. The Stoics had a term for this: akrasia, acting against your better judgment. It's the gap between what you know you should do and what you actually do. Every time you bridge that gap in the right direction, you build integrity. Not just moral integrity, but psychological integrity. The alignment between your values and your actions. Here's a truth that will change your life. You don't become successful through one big decision. You become successful through thousands of small decisions compounded over time. And the same is true for failure. Every small choice you make is either adding to your strength or subtracting from it. Every moment of self-control is an investment in your future self. Every moment of giving in is a withdrawal from your potential. The man who can't control himself for 5 minutes will struggle to control his life for 5 years. This isn't dramatic. This is mathematical. Your habits are exponential, not linear. A small improvement every day compounds into massive change over time. A small degradation every day compounds into massive problems over time. The Stoics understood this principle deeply. They knew that character is built through consistent action, not dramatic gestures. Marcus Aurelius didn't become a great emperor through one moment of courage. He became great through thousands of moments of choosing duty over comfort, wisdom over impulse, discipline over indulgence. Here's the most important psychological principle you need to understand. Behavior follows identity. If you see yourself as someone who lacks self-control, you'll continue to act that way. If you see yourself as someone who is disciplined and focused, you'll act that way instead. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you believe yourself to be. When you resist an impulse, you're not just avoiding a behavior. You're proving to yourself that you're the type of person who has self-control. When you choose delayed gratification over instant gratification, you're not just making a smart decision. You're reinforcing the identity of someone who values long-term success over short-term pleasure. This is why willpower alone isn't enough. You need to change how you see yourself. The most powerful question you can ask yourself isn't, "What do I want?" It's, "Who do I want to become?" And then ask, "What would that person do in this situation?" Here's something that sounds contradictory, but is absolutely true. The more you discipline yourself, the more freedom you have. Most people think discipline is the opposite of freedom. They think rules and restrictions limit their options. But the opposite is true. When you have no self-discipline, you're a slave to your impulses. You can't choose your response to situations because your impulses choose for you. When you develop self-discipline, you create space between stimulus and response. You create the power to choose. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychologist, said, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." That space, that gap between what happens to you and how you respond, that's where your power lives. Every time you practice self-control, you're expanding that space. You're increasing your freedom to choose who you want to be. So how do you actually change? How do you break free from patterns that might have controlled you for years? First, understand that this isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's not about never failing. It's about failing forward. Start with awareness. Before you can change a pattern, you need to see it clearly. Notice the triggers. Notice the emotions that lead to the behavior. Notice the thoughts that justify it. The Stoics called this prasos, paying attention. You can't control what you're not aware of. Second, replace the behavior with something positive. Nature abhors a vacuum. If you just try to stop something without replacing it, you'll struggle. When you feel the urge for instant gratification, do something that moves you toward your goals instead. Exercise, read, work on a project, call someone you care about. Third, change your environment. Make the right choices easier and the wrong choices harder. Remove temptations from your immediate environment. Fourth, build a support system. Find other men who are on the same journey. Share your struggles. Be accountable to someone besides yourself. But here's what I really want you to understand. This isn't ultimately about one behavior. This is about something much bigger. This is about your relationship with difficulty, your relationship with discomfort, your relationship with challenge. Modern life has conditioned us to avoid discomfort at all costs. We've been taught that if something feels bad, we should immediately do something to feel better. But the Stoics knew something different. They knew that discomfort is not the enemy. Discomfort is information. It's your nervous system telling you that you're growing. When you feel the urge for instant gratification and you don't act on it, you're sitting with discomfort. You're learning that you can feel something without immediately acting on it. This is one of the most important life skills you can develop. The ability to feel without reacting. The ability to want without needing. The ability to experience desire without being controlled by it. This skill transfers to every area of your life. When you can sit with the discomfort of sexual urges, you can sit with the discomfort of fear when starting a business. When you can resist the pull of instant pleasure, you can resist the pull of giving up when things get hard. The man you could become is waiting on the other side of your next decision. Every moment of self-control is a moment of self-respect. Every time you choose your long-term vision over your short-term impulse, you're proving to yourself that you're serious about becoming who you want to be. The Stoics didn't practice discipline because they hated pleasure. They practiced discipline because they loved who they could become more than they loved who they currently were. Your ancestors built civilization through delayed gratification. They planted trees they would never sit under. They built bridges they would never cross. They made sacrifices so their children could have better lives. That same blood runs through your veins. That same potential exists within you. The question isn't whether you can change. The question is whether you will. Starting today, you have a choice. You can continue to be controlled by your impulses, or you can take control of them. You can continue to give away your power for free, or you can invest it in becoming the man you're capable of being. The path forward is simple, but it's not easy. It requires you to choose difficulty today for the sake of ease tomorrow. It requires you to choose growth over comfort, discipline over indulgence, your future self over your current impulses. But here's what I promise you. Every step you take on this path makes you stronger. Every moment of self-control builds your confidence. Every victory over your impulses proves that you're more powerful than you thought. You are not your urges. You are not your impulses. You are not your past patterns. You are the conscious observer of all these things. And the conscious observer always has the power to choose. Choose wisely. Choose courageously. Choose like the man you want to become. If this changed how you see the connection between self-control and self-respect, comment below. I control my focus. Let me know you're committed to becoming the disciplined man you're capable of being. And if you're ready to dive deeper into the ancient wisdom that can transform your modern life, make sure you're subscribed. We're building a community of men who refuse to settle for less than their potential. Our future self is counting on the decisions you make today. Don't let him down.